Am I the a-hole for wanting to uninvite my sister-in-law from my wedding because she keeps undermining my wedding plans? Absolutely not. You are the bride, aka the boss. Sorry, even after removing some stuff, this turned out to be really long. Throw away, so hopefully Kyla doesn't find this. Don't apologize. Longer the story, the more details we get, so it's easier to see through what happened. My fiancé Nate, 27 male, and I, 26 female, have been together for almost 3 years. He proposed to me about 6 months ago, and shortly after we found out I was pregnant. Congratulations, bestie. We are planning to having our wedding in the spring of next year. Nate has a twin sister, 27 female, who we will call Kyla. Nate and I announced our engagement and my pregnancy at the same time. We made a cute little Facebook post with a couple engagement pics and an ultrasound photo that said something the lines of, "The Smith family is going to have 2 new additions." Kyla commented almost immediately that we will have to wait until next year to actually get married because she looks best in fall colors. And as my maid of honor, she gets a say in choosing bridesmaids' dresses. Who said to her that she's gonna be the maid of honor? That position is saved for your best friend, or for your sister if you have one, maybe even for your mom. Sister-in-law could be a bridesmaid, but maybe not her, she is already too much. I literally stared at my phone screen, wondering if I read something wrong. Bestie, you did not. She is insanely delusional. I showed a comment to Nate and asked him why she thought she would be my maid of honor. He had no clue. So I texted her and this is how that exchange went. Me: "Hey Kyla, I see you saw our announcement on Facebook. Thank you for being ready to step up for me, but we haven't started working out wedding logistics yet. And I haven't picked my bridesmaids, much less my maid of honor. Once we will have more details of the wedding worked out, we will let you know." Great, very polite, but your boundaries are clear. Kyla: "Well, you don't have to choose a maid of honor anymore. I am your maid of honor." Absolutely the hell not. She is so pushy, it makes my skin crawl. Me: "I don't understand. I never asked you to be." Kyla: "You don't have to ask. That's what makes me such a good sister." Me: "I'm sorry, you are not my maid of honor." Kyla: "We'll see about that." And this is the point when your fiancé should take over and handle his sister. I showed these messages to Nate, who said he would deal with it. As he should. I have no idea what the extent of their conversation was, but Kyla never brought up being my maid of honor again. She just reared her ugly attitude in different ways. I'm sorry, does she understand this is not gonna be her wedding? Nobody asked for her help. She can just chill and follow the couple's instructions. As of now, Nate and I have booked the venues, caterer, the florals, decorations, and the DJ already. A couple of months ago, I invited mine and Nate's mothers, along with my sister Sam, who I asked to be my maid of honor, to do some dress shopping. There you go. So you have a sister. Kyla found out from her mom and invited herself to tag along. We started by looking for a dress for Sam. I wanted my bridesmaids in a pretty pastel yellow, but Sam's is going to be more golden. Kyla would not shut up about how yellow is such an ugly color and I should go with pink or blue instead. Kyla, you can pick whatever the hell colors you want for your own wedding. This is not it. She even grabbed a bunch of pink and blue dresses to try it on herself. I tried my best to ignore her while her mother entertained her bizarre ideas. Sam and my mother were making constant comments about how it's my wedding and if Kyla isn't going to be helpful, she should just leave. It's amazing they stood up for you, and they were right. Why is Kyla even here? She wasn't even invited. Unfortunately, she didn't, and I am too nice to kick her out in front of my mother-in-law, who I already have a strained relationship with. Okay, in that case, this is going to be your fiancé's job to deal with. Our mothers were able to shop for their dresses with little interference from Kyla, but as soon as I started trying things on, she had all sorts of things to say. She would tell me that certain styles wouldn't look good once I had a baby bod, and even told me I should consider not wearing white since I am obviously not a virgin. Sorry, I didn't realize that Kyla was the fashion virginity police. I told her she wasn't a virgin when she got married either, yet she still wore an adorable white sundress to the courthouse. Funny how the rules only kick in when she wants to feel superior. She grumbled about how that wasn't the same, but I was already halfway back to the changing room. Why do you think OP wouldn't be able to do the same? I still don't know what happened while I was in there, but when I came out, Kyla and mother-in-law were gone and Sam had a smug smile on her face. Your sister was on early maid of honor duty. I never discussed any details of the wedding with Kyla if I could help it, but I heard Nate sharing some of our plans with her. He told her we were planning on a buffet-style meal because we have a lot of dietary restrictions in our families, and that was the cheapest way to accommodate everybody. Literally, like a few $1,000 difference. And she told him he deserves someone who wouldn't go cheap on his wedding, even though the buffet was his idea. He told her about our venue choices. He picked the reception venue, I picked the ceremony venue, which is the same place my parents got married. My father passed away, and since he cannot walk me down the aisle, I always wanted to get married in the same place he married my mom to sort of feel like he was there with us. She told Nate that my venue choice was tacky and people would make fun of us. Kyla, nobody cares about your opinion. Stop. Also, your fiancé should stop sharing these things with her since she's so mean. When he mentioned he wanted a DJ, she made a comment about how she knew I wasn't classy enough to want a live band. Does she understand that he just said that he wanted a DJ? You guys made these decisions together, but it looks like both of you had some preferences, which is how normal people do these things. Each and every time she would make comments like this, Nate would tell her that they were his ideas, but not call her out for how she spoke about me, which I do feel a little hurt by. I've expressed this to him and he told me that he would try to do better about calling her out, but she's always been this way. She was, because nobody called her out and she just got used to it. I told him that's no excuse for her to be disrespectful and stick her nose into business that doesn't concern her. He hesitantly agreed. Wait, why did he hesitate? On Friday, I got an email from the venue for our ceremony confirming our cancellation and asking if we needed to reschedule. Did she just cancel your wedding? Shortly after that, I got a voicemail from our caterer explaining that my new wedding planner had just called, but the line had dropped and was wondering if I could pass along her phone number so they could finish going through changes to the menu. Absolutely not. Ban her right now. She has nothing to do with this wedding anymore. I immediately emailed the venue back saying that no, we are not canceling or rescheduling. Please keep our original date on the books. I called the caterer who explained that a woman had called and said she was my new wedding planner. More like a wedding destroyer. She had said that I wanted to make some changes to the contract, namely switching from a buffet style to plated meals. I told him that this was not the case. I do not have a wedding planner and please do not make any changes unless contacted by me or Nate directly with the contact information we had on file. The caterer suggested putting a password on file also. At this point, that is an absolute must. He said he wouldn't make any changes unless the person requesting them knew the password. I called both venues and all of our vendors to put in place the same type of precautions. They all gave me their sympathies for me having to deal with this. Yeah, like planning a wedding is not stressful enough already. When Nate got home from work, I confronted him about it. I told him someone tried to cancel my venue and change our catering. I told him the only person it could be is Kyla. Duh. He tried to deny and say that she wouldn't do it, but I reminded him of how she undermined and insulted me during every step of this engagement. Come on, who else would do it? Do you have another villain in your family? I told him I wanted her uninvited. I will give someone who has already done so much to make this wedding stressful the opportunity to do something like show up in white. He fought me on this, but I basically told him that I felt disrespected by him over how he is allowing Kyla to treat me. Mic drop. I'm his partner and the mother of his child. My feelings and comfort should be more important to him than his sister's childish antics. And that's what's up. We met with her for lunch earlier today, and once we got dessert, he asked her if she was trying to make changes to our wedding plans. She said, and I quote, "Well, yeah, it's the maid of honor's job to make sure the bride is making the right decisions." You are not the maid of honor, and the bride is making the right decision. You are out. Before Nate could say anything, I told her she's not my maid of honor, and even if she was, that would not give her the authority to undermine our decisions and make changes to our wedding plans and budget behind our backs. She said she didn't see what the big deal was since her grandmother had offered us a pretty large chunk of change as a present to help pay for the wedding. Grandmother just gave that money to them, Kyla. You have nothing to do with it. I told her again, the wedding budget is none of her business. She tried to argue, but I cut her off. I told her that her behavior regarding our wedding thus far has been nothing but disrespectful and insulting. I told her trying to cancel my venue had crossed the line and she's no longer invited to the wedding. She seemed absolutely shocked by this. She looked at Nate, waiting for him to defend her. Kyla, you and Nate are not on the beach building sandcastles anymore. You are not his closest relationship anymore. You cannot control his or his fiance's life anymore. This was the only decision that could have been made after all this. And then he did. He looked at me and said, "Why don't we give her one more chance?" No, she had a million chances. I asked if he was kidding. He said no. That Kyla was only doing what she thought was best for us, and now that we told her that it wasn't okay, we should give her a chance to correct her behavior. How about no? Kyla has way too much audacity and she's gonna ruin your wedding if you give her the chance to be there. I didn't even respond. I got up and left. I went and got in my car and drove home, thinking to myself if he wanted to side with his sister, then he could rely on her to get home. I ignored him trying to get a hold of me. Once at home, I packed a small bag and left for Sam's house. I told her everything and she told me I could stay as long as I needed to. But now she's at work for the night and that's where I am now. Trying to process what just happened. Trying to figure out when I became second place in Nate's life. Trying to figure out if there's any way to fix what he just broke in me. Well, I cannot blame you, bestie. He keeps switching between asking where I am, telling me he didn't think this was that big of a deal, and apologizing and asking me to come home and talk. What do you mean you didn't think this wasn't a big deal? OP was pretty patient and was telling you everything. Your sister basically went on crazy territory. I don't feel ready to talk to him just yet. I'm still too upset and I feel like I'll do or say something I will regret, like call off the whole wedding altogether. I just told all my vendors that we aren't canceling the wedding, but right now I kinda want to. I don't know if it's my hormones making me feel crazy or if I'm valid in how hurt I'm feeling. I just don't know what to do or what to think. You're absolutely valid for how you feel after all this. Kyla is acting like a crazy person, trying to run in your life. Nate's behavior is really disappointing too. I cannot blame you for feeling like this. You guys need to talk about this when you are ready. But for sure, he has to make big changes. So am I the a-hole for not wanting to give her a second chance? You gave her a million chances already. Or is my fiancé right that she deserves a chance to prove herself before she's uninvited from the wedding altogether? She already proved herself that she cannot be trusted. At this point, I'm pretty sure if she's gonna go to your wedding, she's gonna ruin it in some ways. Either showing up in a white dress or making a big scene. If I were you, I wouldn't trust her for a second. Guys, I find the update for this story. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who read my original post and offered their judgments and advice. Writing this out really helped me process what I was feeling, and hearing that I wasn't overreacting or just being hormonal from people that are removed from the situation was very comforting. I read every single comment and there is no way to express how much all the kind words meant to me. There were lots and lots of comments asking for an update, but I wanted to wait until after I had talked to Nate. Thank you for coming back with the update. I spent last night at Sam's house and mostly ignored Nate's texts and calls. Kyla texted me once also telling me to not let my hormones make me irrational. And what are her excuses for acting like this? I just blocked her, but someone advised to unblock and just silence her notifications, so if she escalates, I could maybe use it in court for my custody case. I did unblock her earlier today, and I'm glad I did, but we'll get there. I replied to Nate at some point last night telling him that I was safe and at Sam's house, and that I would be home today after work to talk about everything. I expressed again that I was feeling really hurt about not being heard or backed up by him and that I needed time to decide what I wanted to do. He asked what I meant by that, if I meant canceling the wedding altogether. I told him that is exactly what I was considering. His reply, "Don't let your hormones make you do something irrational. We'll talk tomorrow." Just stop saying to women that they are hormonal or they are overreacting. I'm so tired of it. Anyone else want to take a guess as to where he got that line? Kyla sent you the same exact text earlier. That just about made my decision for me. I didn't reply, not even when he texted me good night, I love you. Instead, before I went to bed for the night, I sent him a link to my post and told him to read through it before we talk. Someone said he probably sent it to Kyla too. If she did read it, she hasn't commented, and if she texted me about it, it was while I had her blocked. This morning, I called into work and had breakfast with Sam. She gave me the number of a family lawyer that her friend used for his custody case. I spoke to the assistant explaining my situation, and luckily she had a slot open for lunch for an initial consult. So I took a shower and basically just kept reading through the comments on my post until it was time to talk to her. I told the lawyer exactly why I am leaving Nate and how I am terrified over how his sister would influence him with our baby. I don't trust him to not be influenced by Kyla and to have our baby's best interest in mind, so I want to fight for sole custody and supervised visitation. I told her, if possible, I want to include something that restricts Kyla from having any contact with my child. I am already mentally preparing to have to fight Nate in court because I know he will not agree to any of this. My lawyer told me that while my concerns are valid, it may be difficult to convince a judge to put a contact restriction in the custody order based on family drama alone. I feel like this is a bit more than family drama. Kyla is basically inserting herself into your relationship and trying to make decisions. She advised me to document everything Kyla has done and anything moving forward so we can present it to the judge if and when we end up in court. She gave me a list of things to think about, like if I want Nate to get any custody at all or just visitation, how I want to handle things like medical care or education for my child, if I want to put communication restrictions like only talking over text. Lots of things I never would have thought of and never thought I would have to think of. We were supposed to do all of this together. You were, but you also would have had Kayla as a third wheel. She told me to take a few days to gather my thoughts and decide on what I want. I scheduled an in-person meeting for this Friday to go over everything. Hopefully, I will have my mind straight by then, but if anyone has any advice when it comes to what to put in these custody papers, I'm all ears. After the phone call with my lawyer, I checked some more comments and then took a much-needed nap. When I woke up, I had a text from Nate asking what time I would be off work so he could have dinner ready for me when I get home. I told him I would be there around 5, but if Kyla is there, I will be turning around and leaving without a word. They can't be that stupid, right? I then asked him if he read the post I sent him. He said, I did, but I would rather talk to you than read you bash me and my sister on the internet with a bunch of strangers. Don't worry, I told Kyla she's not welcome. But it looks like she needed to post on the internet for a bunch of strangers so you would finally realize how serious she was. This pissed me off beyond belief. Clearly, he either didn't read the post or still didn't realize how truly in the wrong they are here. Either way, I lost all motivation to try and talk to work things out. I'm just done. All I will be doing is gathering some more things and dropping off my lawyer's contact info. There's nothing more for us to discuss. He asked what I meant, what lawyer, and told me he's been waiting to talk about this. All I said was, fine. Sam wished me luck before I left and assured me I was welcome back once we were done talking. I told her I absolutely would be back and thanked her for everything so far. When I got home, Nate had dinner ready just like he said. I ignored him and just went straight to our room to pack up some more of my clothes and toiletries. He tried asking me if I really wasn't going to talk to him, but I was just ignored him for the time being. Just seeing his face made my anger flare up and I wanted to be smart about our discussion. After a while, he gave up and just went to eat in the dining room. When I was finished, I went and sat with him at the table but didn't touch any of the food. I started a voice memo on my phone before I said, go ahead. He looked at me all confused, so I told him he was the one that wanted to talk and must have so much to say, so go ahead. He stumbled over his words for a while, but ultimately started off with an apology, trying to tell me he didn't realize I was so upset with Kyla's behavior. Really? You haven't realized it? How is that even possible? I asked him if he remembered how hard I cried after I got home from dress shopping because of her comments about my choices and my body. If he remembered having to talk to her about not being my maid of honor. If he remembered our conversation just a few days ago where I told him canceling my venue that had so much sentiment to me was way too far over the line. He said he did each time and tried to add a but to argue, but I just cut him off with my next example. I told him that after all of that, he 100% should have known I was beyond done with her BS. I told him I was so hurt and pissed that I wanted her uninvited. But he wanted to give her another chance? To what? Cancel her DJ and book a live band? Dye my dress red or show up in white herself? He told me she would never do that. Are you serious? She would absolutely do that. Probably it's on her list. I told him he told me she would never cancel my venue, but then she admitted to it in front of our faces. I told him I don't trust his opinion on his sister and that he's just as delusional as she if he thinks she will change. No notes from me. OP ate with this. I asked him why he even told her so many details of our wedding anyway. Why does her opinion for our wedding even matter? He tried to tell me that because Kyla didn't get to have a real wedding when she got married, she was just a little too excited about ours. Kyla, who's stopping you? Go and have your own wedding. I told him she has all the right in the world to be excited, but that does not give her any right to insult or change our choices regarding what we want for our wedding. She'll have plenty of opportunities to have a real wedding. If she could stop for 2 seconds and take her nose out of our wedding business, she could go out and find a man or woman to marry herself, poor soul, whoever that may be. I asked him what's next. She gets to name our baby since she lost her own? Valid question. The look on his face made my stomach feel hollow. He told me, and I quote, actually, Kyla does have a few ideas for what we could name our daughter. Daughter? Side note, I had mentioned in a comment previously that we were waiting to be surprised about the gender of our baby. We were discussing baby names and had settled on the top 3 for each gender. We agreed to keep them to ourselves until the baby is born. I asked if he said daughter, and he looked like a deer caught in my headlights. He backtracked, but I pressed the issue. I asked him flat out if he knows the gender of our baby. He hesitated, but ultimately confessed to remembering that I filled out an information release from at my first OB visit. So he called the office and asked them for the results of our gender scan, claiming that we changed our mind and he was going to do a reveal for me. The story, it just gets worse and worse. I sat down to read some wedding drama and now we are here. It's insane. I feel absolutely sick and violated. I asked him what the he was thinking. He said Kyla was feeling left out since Sam was planning my baby shower and not including her and that she just couldn't wait to find out. Oh my god, Kyla again. I just can't with this woman anymore. I cannot believe Nate still couldn't see the damage his sister causing. I demanded he tell me everything. What else has he gone behind my back to do? Did he give her the idea to pretend to be our wedding planner? Was he the one that had her cancel my venue and change our catering? He tried to tell me no, of course not. She did that on her own. But I could just tell that he was lying. Please don't tell me that he was part of the schemes that Kyla pulled. He absolutely put her up to all of this. I will lost my goddamn mind. At that point, I didn't even care why he did. It's clear that none of our decisions will ever actually be ours. That one is clear. He will always do whatever the hell he wants to and get Kyla to back him up. I don't even want to think about how many of our decisions in the past were completely undermined and changed by these two. Girl, thankfully at least it came out before the wedding. I asked him if Kyla came to him and told him everything I'm telling him. That she doesn't feel supported by her partner. That her partner went behind her back to learn the gender of their baby without her. That her partner was retroactively changing every decision that they had agreed upon. That her partner was letting their sibling bully her relentlessly. What would he say to her? He didn't have a response, and honestly, if he did, I didn't want to hear it anymore. I knew the answer. I told him that as the woman who is supposed to be his wife, me and the baby I am carrying should be his top priority, not his twin sister. I said him going behind my back like this for something as important as the gender of our baby is absolutely unforgivable. There is nothing that he can say or do to fix this now. I told him I will no longer be marrying him, but it's up to him if he wants to cancel all the vendors. I said you are more than welcome to use it all to marry Kyla, seeing as she's the one you obviously care the most about. He tried to backtrack and apologize and explain, but every time I just cut him off and told him that I had heard enough and my mind was made up. There is no going back now. If he wants to have even the slimmest chance to get me back and have a real relationship with our baby, he will need to attend some serious therapy and do a lot of work on himself and his relationship with Kyla. I told him no woman in her right mind would ever marry him while he was this enmeshed with her. I told him that any contact we have moving forward will be through my lawyer. I want nothing to do with his family, and if I get what I want, they will have nothing to do with my daughter, because I be damned if I let him subject her to this treatment. I put my lawyer's name and phone number on the table and walked out. He didn't try to follow me. Opie did what most people would never dare. She stood up and took back her power. Real queen behavior. So now, on top of dealing with my lawyer for the custody case, do I have to file a complaint with my OB office? Are they allowed to just give him this information without express consent? Or did me stupidly putting him on the information release form I signed give them blanket consent to share any and all information with him? God, I didn't think this could get any worse, but I guess that's on me for being naive. Well, he's the father, but I seriously have no idea. You should ask these questions from your lawyer. I'm glad I recorded the conversation though and got him admitting to doing all of this. I don't know how or if it will help my custody case, but I sent it to my lawyer with a note that we can discuss more on Friday. I'm back at Sam's place now. She was already at work when I got back, but I texted her to wake me up when she gets home. I need my sister. I also called my mom and told her everything that's happened so far. I asked her if she'd be willing to go to the house with Sam and get the rest of my stuff because I do not want to see Nate right now. Just picturing his face is making me feel sick. She said she's more than willing. Thankfully, your family is amazing, so you don't have to do this by yourself. Kyla did text me again. I'm assuming Nate talked to her after I left. It was a very long, cruel message that I don't want to repeat here. I can post a screenshot if anyone cares for the whole message if I can figure out how to attach one. But to summarize, she just called me a delusional control freak who can't let Nate make any decisions for himself and insulted my venue choice once again. It's funny that Kyla calls other people control freaks. And then said that she hopes my baby is stillborn because I don't deserve to be a mother. And I hope that karma will come back for her because she's a disgusting piece of. Honestly, after reading it, I thought the message would hurt, but just gave me a really good laugh. I took a screenshot and sent it to my lawyer as well. And that's where we at. The wedding is off. I will call all the vendors tomorrow and see if we can get any deposits back. If not, I let them know to contact Nate and Kyla to see if they would like to keep things as planned. Let them throw a party for all I care. But I be canceling my venue regardless of my refund. Neither of them are going to step foot in that sacred place if I can help it. Girl, this story is completely insane. It's a good thing though that all this came out before you got married to Nate. Otherwise, you would have been in a 3-person marriage. I hope you guys enjoyed today's story. If you did, please subscribe and see you in the next one.